Hello guys, in this video I'm going to share some meal ideas with you. Let me know if you end up trying any of these. So I start by boiling some water and then chucking my noodles in. The instructions are at the back of the packaging if you want to go through that. Then I start prepping my veggies. You can use whatever veggies you like. I've got some frozen green beans, onions, capsicum and some mushrooms, but again you can use whatever you like. Baby corn might even be nice with this. So I start by cooking my chicken thighs. If you're a regular on my channel, you know that I don't cook chicken thigh with any oils because it's quite a fatty meat. As you can see, a lot of oil is seeping out from the chicken. I don't waste that oil though because I actually use that to saute my veggies. So I start by tossing in my onions and I saute that. Then I add a little bit of salt. If you want, you can add in some minced garlic as well, but I think on this particular day I was lazy, so I skipped out on the garlic. I then add in my capsicum and saute that a little bit. You can even add carrots in as well, guys, if you like, but again, I was pretty lazy on this day, so I opted for frozen green beans because that's just a whole lot easier for me. I also grabbed some of these Asian mushrooms I got from my local Asian grocer. I don't quite know how to pronounce these, but they're super tasty and I love having the texture of these type of mushrooms in my stir fry. I think they are called Muji mushrooms, but I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. It starts with the letter M. If you know what they're called, please let me know in the comments. I like to make sure my mushrooms and veggies are cooked quite thoroughly because I prefer softer veggies in stir fry. So I mixed that through, and then once they're pretty much 90% cooked through, I add in my sauce of choice. So this particular week, I'm using that thick teriyaki glaze. They normally do go on sale, so when I see them about 30, 40, or 50% off, I generally stock up on them. So that's my sauce of choice for the week. I'm going to mix that through. I do add quite a bit more sauce off camera as well because I think I tasted it off camera and I wanted a little bit more saltiness and umami to this. And I also added a little splash of fish sauce off camera. Once I'm happy with the sauce, I add back in my sliced chicken thighs that I cooked earlier on. Now I like it quite saucy because I want it to coat the noodles. So once the sauce is ready, I toss my noodles in, mix it thoroughly. Just don't forget guys, the noodles do absorb a lot of the sauce and that's why I have quite a bit of sauce in this, but that's just my personal preference. Once I serve it up, I add a little extra teriyaki glaze for presentation. With my next meal guys, I've just trimmed some lamb fat and I'm rendering that off to create some oil or fat for me to use as an oil substitute. I've got some tomato, garlic and spinach. This isn't a meal prep, this is just going to be for dinner for my partner and I. So as you can see, the fat's rendered off quite a bit. I scoop out the fat chunks and toss that in the bin, and I've got some oil to use, well, lamb fat to cook with. I chuck in my lamb loin chops, which have been seasoned with salt and thyme. Once that is cooked, I take it off, and then you've got a lot of lamb juice and fat still left in the pot. So that's when I saute my onions, tomatoes, and spinach. And as you guys can see, I've trimmed a lot of the fat off the lamb loin chops and I've put it to good use because I rendered off the fat, and that is how I created my lamb fat instead of using olive oil to cook with. So I'm just sauteing the veggies really quickly. You can use whatever veggies you have on hand. Sometimes I use mushrooms, and that's my dinner. It was super quick and easy. And the next day I did something very similar, except I used a loin steak, I think, a sirloin steak, sorry. So yeah, it's quick and easy. Now this next one is a meal prep idea. I've got some chicken thighs grilling. As usual, there's no oil because chicken thigh is quite fatty, and as you can see, there's a lot of fat being released from it. Once it's cooked, I chop it up into small little chunks. I often use scissors because it's easier. Then I add in a whole lot of spinach. Now I know this looks like a lot, but once it wilts down, there's barely any there. On this particular day, I didn't add in any onions or carrots, but I generally like to add that into my curries as well. I know Sonia has told me chickpeas, I think, are really nice in curry, or beans, or even lentils, I think that's what she mentioned. Back on topic anyways, I am trialing this cashew and coconut curry. I think they're normally $5.50 at Coles and Woolies, but I tend to only buy them when they're half price. So I've got a few jars in my pantry that I'm going to use up. To me, this kind of tastes like butter chicken, but a lighter version. So I think my favorite is still the butter chicken from this Patax brand. So that's pretty much done, guys. That's the finished product. I like to serve this on top of some white steamed rice, but I'm sure you can probably eat this with naan. This next meal is actually an old recording and I wasn't sure if I shared it with you guys, so I've included it in this video. I've got some risotto, chicken stock, garlic, zucchini, chopped broccoli and onions. And then I actually start by sauteing my onions. I think there was a bit of chicken fat or lamb fat that I would have used. Then I add in my risotto just to toast it off a little bit because I find toasting the risotto, it brings out more of the nutty flavor. Then I add in some chicken stock cubes, as you can see here. Then I top it up with water and let it boil. Now, I think this particular occasion, I actually added probably a little bit too much water. You guys will see later on, but the meal still turned out delicious because I remember it being a really yummy meal. And my partner actually requested to have this more often in the meal rotation plan. Anyways, I chuck in my broccoli, and as you can see, I used the whole broccoli, so I actually diced the broccoli stalks up into little cubes as well. It's perfectly edible, so I try not to waste any food. So once I mix that through, I add my little zucchini slices in. I try to cut it really thin, so that way once it cooks, it actually breaks down into some nice thin little zucchini ribbons. Again, I just wanted to mention this is how I've made this particular meal. You can add in whatever you like. I'm sure adding in some onions and mushrooms would be really nice as well. This is the finished product. I do like to top it off with some cheese. It just makes it extra creamy. And this is also another older clip I found in my phone, guys. I've got some diced tomatoes and sliced mushrooms and my first stock cubes. I saw someone in the comment ask me to show more meals around these stock cubes, and since I found this older clip, I thought I would include it in this video. I've got some cornstarch and tap water here. I'm just mixing that through, so it's a cornstarch slurry. Once I boiled all of my tomatoes and mushrooms and stock cube, I added that slurry in to make the soup nice and thick, and then I just whisked up an egg and chucked it in and stirred the pot so you get ribbons of egg. And this is a bit of a bonus clip, guys. We went out to have brunch. So this is the lamb masuka eggs benedict. It was so delicious, an absolute treat. The next night, my partner actually got a cronut, which is a cross between a donut and a croissant. And then he also got some Ferrero Rocher ice cream on top. We shared this because I was pretty full after dinner. By we, I mean he ate 80% of it, but I was pretty full anyways.